All right, everybody, let's dive into something really interesting today. You know how we learned that the word apple and the actual fruit are essentially the same thing, representing the same concept? That's equivalence. It's a direct match, a one-to-one relationship. But our brains are incredibly complex, and they also learn things that aren't the same, like bigger than, before, or different from. These are not equivalent relationships. This is called non-equivalence. It's a fundamental aspect of how we understand the world. It's about how we relate things that aren't identical, how we draw distinctions and make comparisons, like knowing a cat isn't a dog, even though they're both common household pets. We understand this non-equivalence often without being explicitly told directly. It's intuitive. This ability to recognize non-equivalence lets us solve problems, tell stories, crafting narratives with distinct characters and plot points, and even understand jokes, which often rely on unexpected twists and incongruities. Non-equivalence shapes how we follow rules, understanding the nuances and exceptions, see ourselves, recognizing our unique qualities and differences from others, and handle feelings, differentiating between sadness, anger, and joy. Sometimes, however, it traps us, like thinking, "I am a failure," just because we feel anxious, equating a temporary feeling with a permanent state. But if we understand how we learn these connections, how our brains form these associations, we can change them. We have the power to reshape our thinking. We can rewire our brains for healthier thinking, creating new pathways and breaking free from old patterns. So, let's break this down, make it simple, and have some fun exploring the fascinating world of non-equivalence. Learning how our minds work, the intricate mechanisms behind our thoughts and feelings, is like getting the user manual for your own head. It empowers us to take control. We'll explore how these connections help, fostering growth and well-being, and sometimes hurt us, leading to negative thought patterns and emotional distress. And we'll see how understanding them, gaining insight into these processes, can help us live happier, more flexible lives, adapting to challenges and embracing new possibilities. Let's get started on this journey of self-discovery. All right, let's take a moment to clear up some key terms that will be essential as we move forward. We're going to be diving into some pretty fascinating concepts, and it's important that we're all on the same page. So, let's break down the jargon and get a solid foundation. First, relational frame theory, or RFT. Imagine your brain as a set of picture frames, a vast gallery in your mind, each connecting things in different ways, linking ideas, experiences, and sensations together. Sameness, the ability to recognize that two things are alike. Opposites, understanding that some things are the direct contrary of others. Better than, and more complex relationships like hierarchies and comparisons. RFT explains how we learn these connections, how our minds build this intricate web of relationships. Without being taught every single one, it's a natural and intuitive process. We don't need someone to explicitly tell us everything, our brains figure it out. Next, mutual entailment. If you know A is bigger than B, if you've established that relationship, you automatically know B is smaller than A. It's an inherent understanding. Our brains fill in the reverse relationship without any additional information. Then, transformation of function. If you're scared of spiders, if that fear is already established, and I say there's a spider in a box, just the mere mention of it, suddenly the box is scary too. The fear has transferred, the feeling transfers, the emotion bleeds over from one thing to another, even though the box itself did nothing. It's completely innocent. This works for good things too. It's not just limited to negative emotions. If there's a lottery ticket in the box, a winning one at that, you'll like the box. You'll associate it with positive feelings. Finally, behavioral inflexibility. Sometimes these learned connections get too rigid. They become fixed and unyielding. For example, if you think "I am anxious" means something is wrong with me. If you equate anxiety with a personal flaw, you might avoid anything that makes you anxious. You'll start shrinking your world. That's your brain following a rule it made up, a self-imposed limitation. Anxiety is bad, avoid it. End of discussion. This inflexibility can hold you back, preventing you from experiencing new things and growing. Our ability to relate things is powerful. It's what allows us to learn and adapt, but it can also work against us, leading to unhelpful patterns and limitations. That's why understanding these concepts matters. It's the first step to taking control. They shape how we think, feel, and act every day. They are the invisible forces influencing our choices. Let's see how. Let's delve deeper and uncover these hidden influences. Our brains connect things in many ways, not just sameness or difference. It's like an ice cream shop with lots of flavors. Each flavor is a different type of relationship, bigger than, next to, after, and so on. These little connecting words signal different mental apps for different tasks. We'll look at distinction, different from, hierarchical, part of, and some cool ones like deictic, IU, spatial, here, there, and temporal, now, then. Each type lets us think in new ways and do mental gymnastics. Sometimes we mix them up or get stuck in one. For example, treating a thought as your whole self is a hierarchical error, or focusing only on the past is a temporal problem. By breaking down these categories, we can spot where our thinking helps or tangles us up. It's about bringing awareness to the amazing things our brains do automatically. Let's dig into the most important types. Ready? Distinction is about recognizing that one thing isn't another. It's a fundamental cognitive skill that allows us to navigate the world with clarity. Without the ability to distinguish, everything would blend together, creating confusion and uncertainty. A cat isn't a dog. They are different species with distinct characteristics and behaviors. Hot isn't cold. These are opposite ends of the temperature spectrum, representing vastly different sensations and conditions. Up isn't down. These are opposing directions, defining our spatial orientation and movement. This basic skill lets us make choices, understand categories, and organize our experiences. It's the foundation for critical thinking and problem solving. Without not, the world would be a confusing blur, a chaotic jumble of indistinguishable elements. Imagine trying to make sense of anything without the ability to differentiate. Once you learn opposites, you can apply them everywhere. It unlocks a deeper understanding of the world around you, like a heated argument where emotions run high and opinions clash, or a cold reception where warmth and welcome are noticeably absent. The feelings associated with hot and cold can transfer to social situations, influencing our perceptions and reactions, guiding your behavior and shaping your interactions with others. Distinction also helps you develop a sense of self. By understanding what you are not, you gain clarity about who you are. You are not simply your parents, but an individual with your own unique path, not defined solely by your job, but by your skills, passions, and contributions. Not just a reflection of your friends, but a person with your own values and beliefs. You learn to separate your thoughts and feelings from others. This is crucial for healthy development and identity, allowing you to form your own opinions and make independent choices. But sometimes, we make distinctions too rigid, creating unnecessary boundaries and limitations. Thinking I am anxious, not confident, creates a false wall, preventing you from recognizing your own strengths and capabilities. You don't have to get rid of all anxiety to be confident. Confidence can exist alongside anxiety. Both can exist in you, as part of the complex tapestry of human emotion. Labels like anxious and confident are just that, labels, simplifications that don't fully capture the richness of your experience. Flexible thinking means seeing differences without building walls, recognizing nuances and complexities instead of resorting to rigid categories. Distinction is powerful, but it works best when it's flexible, allowing us to adapt to changing circumstances and embrace the inherent ambiguity of life. Let's see how other relations work, building upon this foundation of distinction to explore the interconnectedness of concepts. Hierarchical relations are about parts and wholes, or types and categories. A finger is part of a hand is part of an arm, and so on. This helps us organize information efficiently, like a mental filing system. It's how we know a dog is a mammal is an animal, and so on. Hierarchies shape our identity too. We're part of families, communities, and groups. But problems arise when we let one part define the whole. For example, I made a mistake, so I am a failure. That's treating a single event as your entire identity. A healthier view: you are more than your thoughts or mistakes. You're the container, not just the contents. Understanding hierarchy helps us see ourselves more flexibly. Don't let one part define your whole story. Let's look at perspective next. Now for perspective, deictic, spatial, and temporal relations. Deictic is about I, you, here, there, now, then. It's how we understand others' perspectives and communicate. For example, can you bring that to me? Requires knowing who me is and where here is. This skill is the foundation of empathy. Spatial relations help us navigate the world in, on, under, next to. We use spatial language for emotions too. On top of the world, under pressure. Temporal relations are about time, before, after, now, then. They let us plan, remember, and imagine, but we can get stuck, reliving the past or worrying about the future. Living in the present is a skill, and it means being flexible with time. These perspective skills shape how we relate to ourselves and others. They're essential for navigating life. Let's see how it all fits together. So how does this all work? Relational frame theory ties it together. RFT says we learn to relate things arbitrarily like a $5 bill, meaning coffee, not because of the paper, but by agreement. These relational frames opposite, bigger than part of, are learned behaviors. We pick them up from examples, then start deriving new relations on our own. This is emergent learning. Think of relational frames as tools. Once you learn to use one, you can apply it to new situations. For example, if you know good is the opposite of bad and gleeful means good, you can figure out gleeful is the opposite of bad. This makes language and thought powerful and creative. Our symbolic world math, music, laws rests on these flexible relations. It's what makes human thinking unique. Animals can learn simple associations, but only humans relate things in such abstract, flexible ways. That's the magic of RFT. Now let's see why it matters in real life. So why does this matter? Because it shapes how we follow rules and live our lives. Most of our actions are guided by rules, verbal statements like, if I study, I'll get a good grade. These rules are built from relational frames. Rules help us plan and solve problems, but they can also become rigid. For example, if I feel anxious, I must leave, that rule can run your life. This is where acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, comes in. ACT, based on RFT, helps people become more psychologically flexible. It teaches you to see thoughts as just thoughts, not absolute truths. For example, instead of I am a loser, you learn to say, I'm having the thought that I am a loser. This creates distance and flexibility. ACT uses exercises to help you notice the difference between yourself and your thoughts and to connect with your values. By understanding these building blocks, you can change your life, becoming more open, present, and engaged. That's the real power of understanding non-equivalence. If you're a student, this might feel overwhelming, but understanding non-equivalence and RFT is like having a key to human language and suffering. It's a game changer for psychology and behavior analysis. RFT explains complex human behavior like talking about feelings or writing poetry. When you work with clients, you'll see these principles everywhere. You'll spot rigid rules like, if I feel sad, I'm broken. By understanding how these relations work, you can help people change not just what they think, but how they think. This gives you a powerful toolkit for real change. You can target the specific relational frames causing problems: hierarchical, temporal, deictic, and more. You'll help people build flexibility, just like teaching a child to ride a bike. Stick with it, it's practical, profound, and deeply human. Understanding non-equivalence isn't just academic, it's about helping people live better lives, and that's something truly worth learning. And that's a wrap on Chapter 20. Non-equivalence relations might sound intimidating, but as you've seen, they're powerful tools for shaping dynamic, meaningful learning. Whether you're training a learner to categorize, compare, or discriminate in real-world ways, this knowledge opens new doors. If this helped you connect the dots, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe to ChapterCast, your go-to place to listen, learn, and retain without spending hours lost in the textbook. See you next chapter.